Hey, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my workshop. I'm a general contractor and builder. I've always loved crafting and doing things myself since I was young, and it turned into a full-fledged career. Custom furniture is an easy way to bring your personality into your own home because you get to pick out the color, style, whatever you want. There's so many different ways you can customize your furniture. Today, I'm gonna show you one of my favorite ways to add texture with wallpaper and trim to totally transform your piece. I've got this basic white wardrobe behind me, and I love the additional space, but it's super plain and it's not something I want to showcase in the house. By adding a couple of features to it with texture and hardboard, I'm going to show you how you can elevate it and take it to the next level. Because this piece is so boxy, I want to use an arch at the top to kind of soften the piece. So we're going to think of these pieces as 5 different sections. You've got your 2 sides, your bottom piece, your bottom panel, and then the arch. So first I'm gonna do my border, and the straight edge is exactly 2 inches, which is what I want my side pieces to be. So I'm just gonna draw it on here. If it's wrong, everything's gonna be covered anyway, but it'll help me visualize everything. I'm gonna do the same thing over here so it matches the other side. So we're done with our 2 side pieces. Now we're gonna mark out our bottom piece. It's gonna be the exact same thickness as our sides. Now we're gonna put a rectangular panel at the bottom. I'll go from the bottom of the door and measure 23, just so I can hook that on. All right, let's figure out our arch. Now the arch is kind of the star of this whole thing, so we wanna make sure we get the proportions right on it. We know we're gonna keep the same 2-inch top as we put at the bottom, so I'll go ahead and mark that. So first we need to find the center point of the door so that we can make our arch. This is 19.5, so I'm gonna make my mark at 9 3/4. We're going to take our measuring tape for fabric and a push pin, and we're gonna push this in at 9 3/4. All right, let's draw our arch and see if this is the scale that we want. That's perfect. It helps elongate the doors even though they're already super tall, but it softens it with that nice smooth arch. So now that we have our design, I can measure and cut all the pieces. So I've already cut one of my side pieces here, and I'm gonna show you how I did that. We're gonna use our straight edge as the template. There's no reason to mark out 2 inches and keep making marks. It's already 2 inches. And I'm gonna run this on my table saw. You don't have to do it on your table saw if you don't have a table saw or don't feel comfortable. Your hardware store can cut these for you. All right, now the 2 side pieces are finished. We're gonna work on the bottom style and the door panel. We're measuring this to 19 inches. That's gonna be that rectangle door panel at the bottom. Measure twice, cut once. Use our straight edge. So this is our bottom rail, and this is our rectangle. Now let's go cut it. So now we have our bottom piece and our door panel cut. Our 2 sides are done. Let's move on to the arch. So we're gonna measure over and down, just like we did earlier, mark it and cut it. We're gonna go over 9 3/4, and we're gonna go down 7 3/4. And that is the center point of the arch. So this allows for that 2 inch at the top to match the bottom rail that's gonna be 2 inches. So this is gonna be our pivot point when we make the arch. I'm gonna put my marker right here, hold my pivot point, half the arch back to the center. Okay, we're gonna make 2 little hash marks on the line that's not gonna be cut. Now we can get our jigsaw, cut out this arch, then we'll chop it down to the right size, and we're ready to roll. Let's cut this. All right, now we've got our arch. We're gonna cut both sides of it so it fits right in place. Then it'll be time to paint them. All right, there's our arch. And I cannot wait for you to see how this comes together. I love this olive green color. Just a little bit of shine, and then the grass cloth is matte. It's gonna really make it pop. So while the paint dries, we're gonna go ahead and do a light sanding on the wardrobe. We only have to do the sides and the sides of the doors because everything else is gonna get covered. All right, first coat's dry to touch. We can move on with the second coat. This color is so perfect. Even if a paint says it only takes one coat to coat the walls, coat the furniture, whatever, always plan for 2 coats. All right, that looks good. Now we wait for that to dry, and in the meantime, let's cut the grass cloth wallpaper. I'm gonna use this grass cloth wallpaper. It's got a lot of texture, and it's gonna go for the center portion of the door. It's gonna be the showstopper of this whole project because it's where the arch is gonna go, and it's gonna be a stark contrast to the panels that we just painted. This is gonna blow your mind when you see how this comes together. I like to do this upside down so I can make marks. It's not on the front side of the wallpaper. The easiest way to do this, since we marked it all out on the door, is just to measure straight from the door. So it's gonna be 15.5 because the door minus the 2 sides that are 2 inches. 15.5 is where we're gonna mark on our wallpaper. That's gonna be the width. And then the height, we're gonna leave it a little long so that we can cut the arch at the end. All right, 15.5 inches, we'll go to 70 for the height. Now we can measure and mark, cut our wallpaper. 15.5 inches is gonna be our width. So we're gonna move up here, hook it on the edge of the wallpaper, mark it at 15.5. We're gonna work our way all the way down and keep making marks, and then we're gonna lay our straight edge up against it so that we cut a very straight line. All right, we're gonna measure this down to 70 inches, make 2 marks so we can use our straight edge. At this point, I always get really excited because I know what's coming next, and it's that we're putting it all together, and it's the best part. 70 inches. All right, we're gonna take our door down so we can adhere everything. It'll be a lot easier to work looking down on it than trying to do it standing up. Now it's time to put everything together. We're gonna attach the hardboard we cut and painted green, and then we're gonna attach the wallpaper. I'm using spray adhesive to attach everything, but you don't have to. You can use glue or a pin nailer. Just make sure it stays adhered. But we're gonna start at the bottom and then work our way up from there. All right, I'm spraying the bottom and the side pieces because this is gonna set the foundation for everything else that's gonna be attached. Now I'm gonna push the door aside so I can spray one of our side pieces. You have to spray both substrates, the door and the pieces, because that's what's gonna actually make that bond. If you don't, it's gonna fall right back off. You'd think it needs to be sticky, but it doesn't. Dry to touch, then we're gonna start putting things together. We're gonna attach the side piece first. We're gonna start at the bottom and then work our way up to the top. You just have to be a little bit careful when you're doing this because once it's stuck, it's kind of stuck. You can reposition it a little bit, but not a lot. The main thing with this is making sure everything's lined up to this outside edge. This is gonna keep everything that we're doing with this door nice and straight. Let's put this bottom piece on. All right, let's do our bottom panel. All right, I'm just gonna line this bottom panel up, push it hard into place so that it really grabs on and locks in. All right, let's measure this wallpaper because we wanna make sure this arch is perfect. This time we're gonna do it from the front side because this is actually how it's gonna go, so we don't wanna have it upside down for this. All right, once you have this lined up with this edge, you can just go ahead and mark with the pencil. I like using a pencil here. You don't have to worry about leaving marker lines on your front side of your wallpaper. All right, there's my very, very faint line. Now we're gonna cut this and adhere this. Now we have an arch. Spray it, attach it. This thing is coming together quickly. We're gonna work off this corner because it's a square corner. And the reason I left this other piece, the other style off over here, is because it gives me a little room to work with. You'd have to be pretty precise if you were trying to get that in between these 2 pieces. I'm using this spreader to help smooth out the wallpaper, but if you don't have one of these, you could use a credit card, anything flat that's got a crisp edge to just help flatten everything out. You've got 10 minutes to reposition this, so you gotta work fast, but you still have a little room for error that you can work these bubbles out of here. This looks amazing. I cannot wait to see it in its completed stage. side of the door isn't perfect. Don't worry about it. You can touch it up later. The only place you really have to worry about is this inside edge. It's gonna be really tough to touch up. So make sure that is painted well before you put everything on. And the final piece. This is so exciting. I cannot wait for you to see how this turns out. Oh gosh, it's so good. Push everything down. Make a couple grunt noises as you do it to make sure you get it on. Look at this door. No one would ever be able to tell that this was a basic white wardrobe when you're finished. So I'm working on the first door, but all the same steps apply to your second door. Pick out some really cool hardware. This thing is gonna be a showstopper, I promise. Our doors are attached, and now it's time to install this hardware. I chose these long gold bars because the wardrobe's so tall, we needed something really long to make sure it matched. Plus, the color's great. It's gonna pop against that olive green. They're gonna look really good. I love how this turned out. I can't wait to see what it looks like in my bedroom. This wardrobe turned out better than I could have even expected. It's absolutely beautiful. It adds so much storage to my bedroom. The olive green color contrasts the dark walls, plus the texture of the wallpaper that's put on the doors. You would never know that these started out as plain white wardrobe doors. With just a few simple steps, we made an old piece of furniture new and custom. I can't wait to see what you make.